Orchids are one of the most beautiful and elegant houseplants you can grow, but they also have a reputation for being tricky to care for. If you've ever struggled to keep an orchid alive or want to make sure your plant thrives, this video is for you. In this guide, I'll take you through everything you need to know about orchid care, from light and watering to humidity and repotting. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced plant parent, these tips will help you grow healthy, blooming orchids. Let's get started. 1. Choosing the right orchid. Before we dive into care tips, it's important to know that not all orchids are the same. The most common variety for home growing is the Phalaenopsis orchid, also known as the moth orchid. It's beginner-friendly, blooms for months, and can rebloom multiple times a year. Other popular varieties include Dendrobium, Cattleya, and Oncidium. Phalaenopsis orchids are ideal for beginners, as they are widely available in many colors, and their blooms last for a long time. Dendrobium orchids require a bit more attention and produce multiple small flowers along a cane-like stem. Cattleya orchids have large, fragrant flowers, but need higher light levels to thrive. Oncidium orchids, often called the dancing lady orchid, have delicate flowers that appear to flutter. Each type has slightly different care needs, but today, we'll focus on Phalaenopsis orchids, as they are the easiest to maintain at home. 2. Light requirements. Orchids need bright, indirect light to thrive. If you place your orchid in direct sunlight, its leaves can scorch and turn yellow. The best spot is near an east or south-facing window, where it gets plenty of light but is shielded from harsh afternoon sun. If you don't have enough natural light, you can supplement with full-spectrum LED grow lights to keep your orchid happy. A good way to tell if your orchid is getting the right amount of light is by checking its leaves. Bright green leaves indicate that the lighting is ideal, while dark green leaves suggest that the plant is not getting enough light and should be moved closer to a window. On the other hand, yellow or reddish-tinged leaves mean the orchid is receiving too much direct sunlight and should be moved to a slightly shadier spot. 3. Watering orchids properly. One of the biggest mistakes people make with orchids is overwatering. Unlike most houseplants, orchids don't like sitting in wet soil. Instead, they should be watered only when their roots start to dry out. A simple rule is to water your orchid once a week in warm months, and every 10-14 days in cooler months. Always use room temperature, non-chlorinated water. There are a few effective watering methods. One way is the sink method, where you place the orchid's pot under a faucet and let water run through it for about 30 seconds before allowing it to drain completely. Another method is soaking, where you place the pot in a bowl of water for 5-10 minutes and then let it drain thoroughly. Some people suggest using ice cubes to water orchids, but this can shock the roots, especially in tropical species, and should be avoided. It is crucial to never let your orchid sit in standing water, as this can lead to root rot. 4. Humidity and temperature. Orchids naturally grow in tropical environments, so they love humidity. Ideally, humidity levels should be between 50–70%. If your home is too dry, especially in winter, you can increase humidity by placing a humidity tray, a shallow tray filled with pebbles and water, under your orchid. Misting the orchid lightly in the morning can also help, but be sure the leaves dry by evening to prevent rot. Alternatively, using a humidifier in the room can create a more controlled and consistent environment. Temperature is also an important factor in orchid care. Orchids prefer temperatures between 65–75 degrees F, 18–24 degrees C, during the day and slightly cooler temperatures at night. Avoid placing them near drafts, heaters, or air conditioning vents, as sudden temperature changes can stress the plant and affect its health. 5. Choosing the right potting medium and repotting. Orchids don't grow in regular soil. Instead, they need a well-draining orchid mix made of materials like bark chips, sphagnum moss, and perlite or charcoal. Bark chips provide good airflow around the roots but dry quickly. Sphagnum moss retains moisture longer but needs careful watering to avoid excessive dampness. Perlite or charcoal helps aerate the mix and prevent rot by improving drainage. Repotting is necessary every 1–2 years or when the potting mix begins to break down. The best time to repot is after the orchid has finished flowering. When repotting, trim any dead roots and place the orchid in a pot with good drainage to maintain healthy root growth. 6. Fertilizing orchids. To encourage healthy growth and blooming, orchids need regular feeding. A balanced orchid fertilizer, such as a 20–20–20 mix, should be applied at half strength every 2 weeks during the growing season. Many orchid growers follow the weekly rule, meaning they fertilize at a diluted strength every week. During the winter months, when orchid growth slows, it's best to reduce feeding. Additionally, Flushing the potting mix with plain water once a month helps remove fertilizer buildup, which can otherwise cause root damage over time. 7. Encouraging reblooming. If your orchid stops blooming, don't worry. With the right care, you can encourage it to rebloom. One effective method is to trim the flower spike just above a node, which can stimulate the growth of a new spike. Ensuring the plant receives bright, indirect light and consistent care is also crucial. Another trick to encourage blooming is lowering the nighttime temperature to around 65 degrees F, 18 degrees C, for a few weeks, which helps trigger flower production. Additionally, using a bloom booster fertilizer with a higher phosphorus content can further stimulate flowering. With patience and proper care, your orchid will rebloom in a few months to a year. 8. Common orchid problems and how to fix them. Like all plants, orchids can experience problems, but most issues can be fixed with proper adjustments. Yellow leaves are often a sign of overwatering or too much light, so it's important to adjust watering habits or relocate the plant accordingly. Wrinkled or shriveled leaves may indicate underwatering or root issues, requiring an increase in watering frequency or an inspection of the roots. Black or mushy roots are usually caused by root rot due to overwatering. If this happens, trim the damaged roots and repot the orchid in fresh, well-draining mix. If your orchid isn't producing flowers, it may not be receiving enough light or may need a temperature drop to trigger blooming. Making these small adjustments can help bring your orchid back to health. Taking care of orchids doesn't have to be difficult. With the right balance of light, water, humidity, and nutrients, your orchid can thrive and bloom for years. By understanding your orchid's specific needs and making small adjustments, you can enjoy vibrant, long-lasting blooms. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more plant care tips. Happy growing, and see you in the next video.